Kia ora, welcome back. Back here with part 3 of my reaction to the New Zealand Special Air Service First Among Equals documentary. We're still in part 1 of the 2-part documentary because from looking at it here, it goes for about an hour and 38 minutes, nearly an hour 40. So what I've been trying to do is stick to around about the 15-minute mark of video footage, giving my reactions during that, and then whatever the time is on here. The last couple have been around 30 minutes. Then I've been calling it quits there and then shutting it down and do another reaction video the next day. So we're here back for part 3 of this one. So let's jump on in. All right, let's hit play.
I think that staying awake when you've been awake pretty much for 5 or 6 days is the most difficult thing. It's the body's trying to shut you down.
I've never been so crippled in my life as trying to walk in bricks, frozen bricks, with wet socks and feet that resembled marshmallows.
And I can recall being so tired that I saw some dairy cows that went past and they were upside down, walking upside down.
There's only one way to join the New Zealand Special Air Service: to pass the arduous 10-day selection course.
Not everyone passes, nor should everyone pass.
And for a number of people, like 10 days doesn't sound like much, right? Like, yeah, 10 days, I can do that. But unless you've been through it, until you've gone there, put an application, rocked up on day 1, and then see where you land, or not. Sorry, I shouldn't have said it like that. That's not the approach to take if you're wanting to join the unit. If you're genuine about joining to serve in the unit, then you don't want to show up just to see where you land and how far you get in 10 days. That's the wrong attitude. And in my opinion, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, if you go on to selection with that attitude, just wanting to see how long you can last before you quit, you're wasting your time and everybody else's time by going. So go with genuine intentions. But it's funny listening to the people that we've just seen on the screen speak a bit and hearing the CO speak. Not everybody will pass, should pass, and nor should they. He's 100% right, because that environment, the accountability level is so high that not everybody likes to be held to account. People like to talk about being held accountable. Until they're held to account, the next minute they're looking for every excuse that they can come up with to try to justify why they haven't been able to do something. And so here within the unit, there's nowhere to hide on selection.
Would not have the caliber of the soldiers they could handle the types of missions or tasks that they're expected to do.
By day 8, the exhaustive search for the right recruits has meant that only 7 of the original 50 volunteers remain. Of being starved and kept...
Just wondering, hopefully you heard that, peeps, if you're watching this. 7 of the initial 50 remain. That's huge, huge. And those 7 that are there, Von Temsky, if it's what I'm thinking, the dunes aspect, carrying the jerry cans with their pack and all that sort of stuff. Now, whether they're doing theirs in the dunes or in the swamp, I'm not sure. Mine was in the dunes. Either way, we still had a handful of people pull off on that stage too. So day 1, been hammered physically. 2, 3, and 4, your open country navigation, little food, bugger all sleep, and expected to cover a heck of a lot of distance. Now you're getting into Von Temsky, which is going to go for at least 20 to 24 hours. So it'll cross over and merge into day 6, part of day 6, where then you'll get into the other aspects of this. If it follows the same sort of recipe, for want of a better term, as it was when I went through anyway.
To wait for a week wasn't already enough to break their spirits, then the next task surely will. In addition to their combat load, they must carry a full 20-litre jerry can through harsh swampland for 24 hours.
It's always been talked up as a nemesis and the thing that's going to exert most pain on your body and most pain on you mentally.
So they're doing the swamp. I never did the swamp. So they've got obviously pros and cons for both. Speaking with people that have done the swamp, they say the swamp is harder. Speaking with people that have done the dunes, they say the dunes is harder. For me, I did the dunes. I've got no right to speak about how hard the swamp was, in my opinion. for me, the dunes was bloody hard, and I have no doubt if I had got tasked with the swamp, I would have found the swamp bloody hard as well. So they're both hard, and they're meant to be. Which one's harder than the other? Do both if you want to. I got no interest in, had no interest in wanting to go through that to test which one was worse.
The challenging part is the fact that the people's minds believe that it is the hardest.
Exercise von Tensky. Yeah, this is our opportunity to weed out the dreamers from those who are going to carry on.
I know that voice, and I can recognise that face. That's Dino, nickname Dino. And yeah, we ended up living, well, I was already living in Perth. He moved over to Perth, and our kids ended up at the same school for a while. And then it was nice to catch up with him and build a bit of a connection. And he actually helped me when I had discharged from the Australian Regiment. He got me my foot in the door into the training and assessing stuff in terms of the mining, oil and gas type work over there in Australia. So shout out to Dino. He's out now. And I'm pretty sure he's still over in Australia. I think he might be on the East Coast now, doing good things wherever he is anyway.
Like when athletes hit the wall, this is our wall.
And to make things even tougher, they must all take turns carrying a second jerry can.
And they'll check to make sure those caps are tight, you know. If anybody drops any water out of those, you'll get a punishment for it.
Identify.
It's Dale talking. I've got to share this story with you about Dale. As I already touched on in parts 1 and part 2, Dale was a machine. To me, in my eyes, he was a machine. I knew he was TF, but he's done a whole bunch of things. He's a chef. I think at one stage of his life, he was a chef for the Sultan of Brunei. He's a dirt bike rider, Muay Thai kickboxer, Blanken, just a really, really good guy. Anyway, he was fit as. We were, unfortunately for me, I was in his group. We were in the same group on the dunes. And the instructors told us, they gripped us up. This was getting later on into the evening. So it's starting, the sun is going down. It's getting harder to see up and down over the sand dunes. And the instructors cracked a little saloon, which he's got on his back. He's got his webbing on, a little bit of a backpack, probably got him some snacks or whatever in there. And our job is to follow him and to follow the instructor and to keep up with them as best we can. But clearly we can't. We're pretty shattered. Well, not old bloody Dale. That guy, he was pushing us hard. Even when he was at the front carrying 2, the rest of us, myself especially, were struggling to keep up with just the 1 jerry can. And we were like, what the hell is he, what is he doing? Like, and he's like, we have to keep up. He said that we have to stay with him. And I remember him saying this, and I was standing next to him talking and said, bro, we just need to keep moving. Don't worry about trying to, don't worry about trying to stay right up his backside. We just have to keep moving. Here I am, 20 years old, think I know. He was much older than me. But because of the fact he was so fit and strong, I knew, well, I didn't know. I thought and felt this here, yes, we got to try to keep up, but they know we are not going to be able to keep up with them. They're in just their uniform and they're carrying a little day pack just with some snacks and whatever, and emergency comms on it if they need to for radio. Call the quad bike over, get the people come over where we were on the dunes, pick you up, take you off for those that want to withdraw. And that's it. We're carrying our packs. We've got our webbing on. We're carrying a jerry can, sometimes 2, depending on how the rotation works. You've got your weapon. There's no way you're going to keep up with a fresh and fit operator within the unit going over the dunes after what you've just been through. They know that. They've been there. Anyway, not bloody Dale, eh? We have to keep up. He was so straight down the line. And when he mentioned and spoke about, and they'll check, yep, 100%, they check the jerry cans to see if you are emptying anything out. And if you are found to your jerry can is light or sloshing around, punishments happen. And so just hearing him speak, it just brought back a wonderful memory, but not so wonderful memory of Dale and just, how he was pushing us. Eventually, we got the message through. And so I think one of the ways that we worked around that was like we had to get him off carrying both jerry cans because we were struggling to keep up with him when he had both of them. So the rule was whoever had two in our group anyway, you were up the front, and the rest of us stay behind that person. So, so Dale, you get off carrying the two, you stay at the back because now you can't push us to be linking to the brink of breaking us trying to keep up with the staff. But anyway, that's just one thing I wanted to share there about Dale. Incredible human being, really top man, and too bloody fit for his own good at least during my selection anyway.
Go north. Where you go?
They will be told a direction to travel in, and that's pretty much it.
Without deviating from their set course, they must push through whatever obstacle is in their path. Once Bontemski is underway, there's only one way out, the finish.
Soldiers don't have to reach any destination. When it's time to stop, the activity will stop.
Overloaded with little room to maneuver, it's a slow and painful trudge forward.
It's just about putting one foot in front of the other, dogged determination to get through to the other end.
I mean, that's all well and good for the psychologist to say, and he's right. Now, I don't know if he's done selection. I don't think he has. Maybe he's done it since. Easier said than done. I can tell you now it would have pissed me off seeing and hearing a non-badged operator saying something like that to me or saying something like that to a candidate. It's just about putting one foot in front of the other. In my head, straight away, you have no credibility because you're not wearing the sandy beret and the wing dagger and the sky blue belt. And you haven't done it. So in my mind, I would be, who the hell are you to tell me it's just about putting one foot in front of the other and about dogged determination? Like, come share that with me when you've come from a space of having lived it and having done it. If you haven't done it, then just zip your mouth. Katia to waha e hoa. So just close your mouth and let the candidates that are there, that have signed up, that have put up their hand to do it. And the instructors that have lived it, that have done it, that have laid the foundation for the next lot coming through, that's their line, I think. Sorry, getting on my high horse there. No disrespect to the psych, but bro, if you haven't done it, yeah, you're right. Technically, academically, you're right. Dogged determination, one foot in front of the other. But you haven't done it, bro, so it doesn't carry any weight with me personally anyway. What you say in regards to selection doesn't carry anything with me because you haven't done it. I could be wrong. Maybe he's done it since then. Maybe he had done it. But anyway, if you've done it, you'd be wearing the sandy beret and the wing dagger, not wearing your psychologist, intelligence corps cap, whatever that badge is.
That's a lot of weight, especially when you start carrying the two, because it requires more balance. You've got your pack on your back, and you've got a rifle slung as well.
Again, it's another 40 kilos when you're talking about weight.
When I look at this, I'm looking at it already, dreading it, because you've got all the bush bashing aspects of it that we didn't have to deal with on the dunes. So this may be part of the reason why those who have done the swamp, and I'm pretty sure, I think Eddie did the swamp from memory. Obviously, me and Dale and I were on the dunes, but I can already see how and why this is challenging. You got the branches, weeds, everything else pulling on you and weighing you down, things getting stuck inside. But then in the dunes, once you're leopard crawling around and that stuff, sand gets in everywhere, gets in everything, starts rubbing and grating on your hands and your underarms, all in the crutch area, around your neck, shoulders, everywhere where you don't want it to go, and down into your boots, into your feet. Sand just has a knack of finding its way everywhere. But looking at this, yeah, I don't envy those that did the swamp.
But for dog-tired bodies, trying to put one blistered foot in front of another is agony. Even the environment conspires against them.
Yeah, I got cut up pretty heavily trying to push through.
That's where it hurt. It really started to hurt.
Hour after relentless hour, the task remains the same.
Shouldn't laugh.
It was cold. 2 minutes. It plays havoc when you stop. It's generally when you cramp up, so the best thing is to keep going.
A break offers little comfort as cold, wet clothes add extra weight and boots rub against raw blisters.
My feet went soft, and it was just a matter of letting them rot away at that time and sort it out later.
Von Tempsky is performing to expectation, testing each man's fortitude to breaking point.
Any thought of getting out of there or about going home, everything seems to cross people's minds at that point, and it really tests their determination of, do they really want to be there?
If the volunteers try to sneak in extra rest breaks, the staff push even harder.
Hurry up, doesn't take that long to sort of here.
Knowing SAS troopers have endured far worse during actual missions.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I can hear those same voices. Hurry up, doesn't take that long to sort out your bearing. And I laugh because I catch myself at times using the same tone, using the same delivery with regards to giving instructions or communications if I'm taking somebody for training or even when I've been speaking to my children, expecting them to do a task and do it properly. You got chores to do, you do those chores properly. Hurry up, doesn't take that long to sort that out. But yeah, hard case. And I think for a lot of the time, I used a lot of the same tone and delivery with regards to the Ngāti Toa Rugby League team, who I'm going to go watch their first game of the season this Saturday. But hard case, just hearing that makes me think, bloody hell, that's where I got it from. The hard wiring happened within the unit. That's where I got a lot of my mannerisms and characteristics from. I think a lot of them are good. They're good traits. That's my biased opinion, though. Others may have different opinions. You ask my children, they'll probably have much different opinions to what I'm thinking. But yeah, hard case, good memories.
I don't know what the packs weighed, but they weighed more than we did. Probably 1.5 times what each individual weighed.
While fighting,
I think his name was Grizz. Clearly he must be out now while his face is shown, but he was my patrol commander for a phase of the patrol procedures course during my cycle. He's a good man. Yeah, good fella. I think his nickname might have been Grizz or something like that, or Gilly, something, Gillespie. Can't remember. Anyway, good guy. I recognise his face. Apologies for getting your name wrong, bro. But yeah, I remember the hard routine night that we had out in Waiuru. Hard routine was essentially you don't get to get out any cold gears to sleep on. You sleep as you are with the clothes that you've got on. We were able to lie on our thermal mat, and that was about it. And it was freezing cold that night. And I didn't realise, but apparently I started snoring during while we were trying to get some sleep. And the only reason I was told about that is because this guy here, who was my PC the next morning, wasn't happy that I was sleeping. I mean, I was able to sleep, but not unhappy in the sense that I was in trouble, but just I think maybe a little bit because everybody else was so cold and shivering and people were still awake. Because your patrol commanders, when they go out with you on these tasks, they get you to do something. They're doing it with you. So he was doing hard routine with the rest of us. Cold meal, no sleeping bags out. Just as you are, you can lay out your thermal mat or your little thin pad, insulation between you and the ground. And that's it. You go to bed. And I don't know if it was snowing, but it was bloody cold. There might have been a little bit of frost, I think, but not snow. And that sucked. So even though he said I was snoring, I clearly got a little bit of sleep, but that may have just been because I was so tired from what we had been doing earlier during the day. But yeah, he was a good guy, at least in my time anyway, while I was on cycle.
Probably 1.5 times what each individual weighed.
While fighting raged in East Timor, An SAS patrol faced their own Von Tempsky in an effort to protect a village from armed militia.
There was a particular village that was of interest to us. There was reports that militia were again harassing the local populace.
Facing impassable terrain, the only access was by foot, so each man had to carry his own equipment, supplies and water for 10 long sun-baked days.
Those were carrying, we had to carry 4 litres of water per day, but we could only carry about 7 days max. Plus we had the food, plus we had ammunition, radios, our webbing, packs, sleeping gear. So it was out of control.
Yeah, I remember in Timor just the massive amounts of fluids that you'd need to carry, even for short duration trips, but out there in the bush and up there in those features, climbing those mountains. Man, it wasn't uncommon to be carrying a minimum of 20 litres worth of water. So, or maybe the minimums might have been about 14 litres worth of water, thereabouts. But I know at times we were carrying upwards of 20 plus litres. That's just water, not including ammunition, not including all the other gear that you heard him speak about. Yeah, those are some heavy loads, some heavy packs they have to carry through the bush and that as well. So
we'd have to get lifted up on our feet by 2 people.
Used to patrolling long distances in training, in East Timor, the terrain and pack weight proved exhausting.
We could only walk for about 15, 20 minutes in about 35, 40 degree heat with no water. Therefore, we'd have to have a break.
And that's where, you're on operations. That's where you understand, that's where the penny drops for a lot of people in terms of why selection is what it is. You sort of have a good understanding of why it is the way it is when you go. But when you then deploy on operations and you have experiences like this, like what he's sharing here, what they had, for a lot of people, that penny it can be a light bulb moment. Go, all right, this is why selection is what it is. This is why we do the tasks that we do, because now we're on operations and we can only move 15 minutes or so, and then we need to take a break. Otherwise, we're going to heat stress, heat stroke, and be potentially looking at a medevac, casevac, instead of being able to achieve the mission. So, yeah, it's hopefully this is helpful for those that are watching, that are thinking about selection, that are talking about it, that are dreaming about it. Just understand that selection is about weeding out the dreamers, and you will be weeded out. If you are a dreamer, you'll be weeded out. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. You'll be gone. You'll be found out and you'll be gone.
It's mental and physical toughness which drives Special Forces soldiers beyond the capabilities of most. For 14 hours, those left have carried close to their own body weight through New Zealand's toughest terrain.
It tests the individual. It tests them to an extent that you question why you are here and why are you doing this.
Just when the volunteers think they're getting a rest and some food, they discover it's not chocolate being handed out, but glow sticks.
And this guy said, oh, another 10 to go. I couldn't believe it. It just blew my mind. I said, you've got to be joking me, mate. He said, no, we've got another 10 hours to go.
I don't think I was the one that said that to Dale, but I do remember some of the reactions of some of the people in our group at that time, because we had at least one individual from mine and Dale's group on the dunes aspect that withdrew. I actually, he went back up and then later passed. I don't know how much later, but he did reapply after he withdrew from the course at his own request. However long down the track, he then reapplied, went back on it again, and he passed and got badged. So well done to him. And but he was one of the guys in our group that was talking about saying, I got to leave the sand, the blisters on his hands, etc. A few of us were, trying to whisper to him, bro, just stick it out, stay with it, stick it out. There's only a few more hours left. It's middle of the night. We didn't know how many hours were left. Could have been bloody 9 hours, 8 hours left, which is a heck of a long time. But you try to tell yourself what you can to stay in the fight, and where you can, when you get to that stage, when you've got such a small group, like there's 7 of them now, from 50, 43 others have withdrawn or not met the standard. the vast majority of those 43 have withdrawn at their own request. They're not gotten a medical clearance to withdraw. They've either, a handful have not met the physical requirements or the timings, the distances that need to be covered during the open country navigation. And the vast majority have just withdrawn and gone, nah, this isn't for me. This isn't, I don't know what I was expecting, but this isn't it, and it's not for me. So you got a tight group, a small group, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. There's 7 of us. We can get through this thing. And so we did try to, but that wasn't enough. He withdrew on that one, but kudos to him. He went back up and he passed and he got badged. So I'm not sure I think he might still be serving, so I won't worry about saying his name, but he knows who he is.
This moment is make or break in Bontemski.
It's a big psychological barrier. You just got to get inside yourself and just keep pushing on.
Somehow, all 7 find the willpower to carry on.
He has to have willpower, but he has to have that. He has to believe in what he's doing and have that determination, which comes from an absolute belief in your own ability to achieve and to keep going under any circumstances. If he's got that, then he's got that different thing.
After continuing all night, Bontemski finally comes to an end. The 7 have made it through. Selection is almost over, but there is one final challenge ahead.
I'm going to pause that there. It's nearly 30 minutes on there. So I think these are probably, having those NZSAS moments come up is probably a good stage, or good stage of the video to pause the video for the reaction for today. So third installment, third reaction to New Zealand SAS First Among Equals documentary, part 1. There's still part 2 to go, so we are I'm not even halfway through this video right now, but have loved it, have enjoyed it, reliving just personally in my own mind, and then blurting out some of that through my reaction to what I'm seeing and hearing, and trying to provide a few insights along the way for those that may be considering going on the New Zealand SAS Selection. So that's about it for this video. Keep turning up wherever you are, whatever challenges you're going through. Keep smashing and try and push through them. Stay in the fight. And until the next video,